One of the things, and arguably any one of these is really the killer to conversion as we go through this arc of a process here. But I believe that at the forefront of our problem is what we call the normalcy bias. And I ran across this as an example when I was working with people who had neuropathy. So we were doing a lot of neuropathy marketing, and people would come in and I had never been involved with something like this where they're losing toes, they're cutting off toes, they're amputating entire feet off of people's bodies. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of a layup. Like, we've shown them how we could solve this. We've even done a test treatment so they could see that it's going to work. It seemed like it was going to be a layup. See me, don't lose your foot. And yet, a number of those people said no. And the reason they gave is that, you know what? I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm fine. And in fact, I remember in one instance, this guy was in really rough shape. He hadn't slept in years because at night his feet would ball up into a fist. That's how bad the neuropathy was. It would keep him up all night. So he was driving his wife crazy. And he says to me, "I'll be fine." And she says to him, "What? You've ruined all of our lives." Like, she just goes on a rant for 20 minutes. And it still was tough to get him to get started because he thought he'd be fine. And there's something that humans have called a normalcy bias. And what a normalcy bias is the fact that we think we can just make a lateral move, that everything's going to be fine. So regardless of the fact that they're cutting off my toes, they've scheduled me in a month to cut off an entire foot, it's going to work out okay. I can make it. I'm doing fine. Like, I'm making it through this process of never sleeping, of taking tons of medication, of absolutely getting rid of everything I love in my life. I no longer do anything I enjoy, but I'm making it. Like, that's this normalcy bias that you fight, whether it's as serious as an advanced neuropathy or something as simple as I've got some back pain or headaches or something. This other thing we fight against, and again, you can make any one of these the primary problem, is that people minimize. This is a natural defense mechanism. It's been around since the beginning of mankind. And so it's something that exists. If you've studied psychology, you look at Freud or anybody that's ever evaluated where people are at. And Freud talks about this actually death wish. People have a life wish and a death wish, and these two things battle with each other. That the bottom line is people are minimizing. So even with cancer, I actually just had a good friend of ours who was diagnosed with cancer. And the very first thing they did is say, "You know what? I'm going to go ask somebody else. I feel fine. I don't think I have cancer," even though, MRIs, scans, blood tests, everything showed clearly there was cancer. The first thing they did say, I don't think it's a big deal. Maybe I'll just go ask somebody else. So even with something like and kind of being an oncologist, they have to deal with the fact that they want to take a very serious and aggressive approach to saving this person's life. They've got to deal with the fact that these people minimize it or even deny it altogether. But it's not that these people are bad people. In fact, our friend is far from that. She's the last person in the world, literally, that I believe deserves cancer. But the bottom line is, it's something in our brain that minimizes things. So now I'm walking in without cancer. I'm walking with some back pain. So I'm going to really minimize this, that you as a chiropractor are simply like a massage therapist. I've got a little bit of a muscle thing going on here. I'll come in once and you'll fix it. That's what they're thinking. So as we communicate, we've got to maximize. So a lot of chiropractors that are fearful communicators, soft communicators, they're afraid of confrontation or stepping over the line. The problem is the person's already minimizing it aggressively. You're now soft pedaling it as well. Man, have we got this down to just nothing, of no value, of no consequence. So the fact that people are minimizers is a really big issue for you as you communicate. You got to learn how to effectively maximize. And we're not trying to scare or shock somebody. There's a way to communicate it so that you can effectively maximize the problem and not allow them to minimize the problem.